And we're here at PAX East with Russ behind Peaky Blinders VR.
Dude, I am so excited for this.
Oh my goodness.
No idea.
Yeah, you've been loving it. You've been cracking away at it maybe 2 or 3 days now.
Mm-hmm.
The voice acting in it, amazing.
Dude, I will say everything that I've seen so far has exceeded my expectations.
Well,
and looking from the busyness of their booth, I think it's getting a good amount of attention.
Yeah, it's looked like people nonstop checking out Peaky Blinders, so this is awesome. But before we get too carried away, Russ, do you mind to introduce yourself a little bit for our listeners? And also, if somehow they've missed Peaky Blinders, the TV show, do you mind telling them a little bit about what you have going on with your game?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Russ. I'm the Chief Creative Officer at Maze Theory. So I started up the concept, I guess, for the game, Peaky Blinders, and pitched it to the TV company. The Peaky Blinders is set in the 1920s. It's actually set in 1928 in post-war one Britain. It's set in a world that was created by Stephen Knight in the gritty streets of Birmingham. It's about a family of brothers that returned from the war. A lot of them suffering from shell shock and probably from the outfallings of war. There's a lot of poverty around that time, but there's a leader within their family called Tommy, who's determined to sort of like rise the family to the top. And he operates in shades of grey. Like, he's neither a good or a bad guy. He's just kind of like a bit grey. So we meet him in 1928 when actually he's worked himself up into the role of being actually established as a politician, which is kind of crazy. And the family are at their sort of like height of running their own gin distillery business. I believe that they're sending gin to America actually at the time. So we pick up the story there. We introduce you as a character into the world. Your character Sam, you knew the boys growing up, but you're a deserter from the war actually. Tommy doesn't really like those as a character himself, but you are a friend of the family, so they give you a second chance to kind of gain some redemption, but they send you on your way to go off and do a job for them.
Ooh, they got me sold on that right away. And so it sounds like that this is going to be something that fans of the show, with recurring characters and stuff, they're going to have some appreciation. For people who have never seen the show, since it's introducing a new character that you play as, do you think that it's something that, for people who have never seen the show, they're going to be able to hop in without an issue?
Absolutely. So we very deliberately designed the flow of the game so that you don't have to have any prior knowledge to the show at all. So it's really about I think Tommy's an archetype of a gangster, so I think you recognise he's the gang boss as soon as you meet him, and I think you pretty much feel like you should be doing what he tells you. So I don't, if you have watched the show, there's like lots of depth there for you. If you haven't, it's like it's a sort of action adventure really in a gangster's world. So, and I think we all like those. So
I will say the scenery, the sound score, the voice acting was, right on the money. I felt, right before we went on, I was saying I was curious, how it would compare to some of what I've seen in the show, and just the opening credits of the game just brought me right to that feeling, which obviously it's not all sparkling clean, very industrial, steel making. Oh yeah, the feel is like, you can almost smell the environment that you're in. But with the voice acting, was it hard to get that many? It's all quality voice acting.
Yeah. So Cillian Murphy plays Tommy Shelby as he does in the show, and that was amazing to get the opportunity to work with Cillian. And obviously he's been playing Tommy Shelby now for 10 years. So of course when we we're going through the scripts with him, he was just like adding to it and changing it, and obviously knows that character inside out. And then Arthur's such an animated character in the show. We worked with Paul Anderson and we did a lot of mocap with him because we just really wanted to bring him to life because he's such a big character. But yeah, we were really lucky to get to work with the talent.
Yeah, one of the things that stands out is a lot of, when games seem to go from let's say superhero games to video games, they can't get any of the actors that actually worked. and you can instantly tell because I was listening. I was like, that has to be the same
Or
actor.
he's damn good.
Oh, dude, it was so it just made me feel good when somebody is, you know, humble enough that even though they're a celebrity, don't have to do video game voiceover, but it seems like you don't hear it in his voice like it was a challenge to actually get him to do it.
No, not at all. I mean, I think the thing about the King's Ransom is it is authentically a part of the story, another story within the lore of Peaky. So we generally work with the showrunners and Stephen Knight in writing the actual the game itself to make sure that it fitted in the lore. We developed new characters with Stephen and the team because we wanted to introduce those new characters in the way that he does every season. And he's so great at also introducing characters, and you think, God, I know that character, or that character's part of the family, and they're completely new. But he seems to be able to embed them, and he helped us sort of like develop Rowena, who's a brand new character, and Lily, and a new gang as well. So.
Well, I'll say this from first-hand experience, I felt like I was being tested part of the family, but I felt like I'm becoming part of the family.
That's awesome. And so you pitched the game to the studio. So how long has the game been in development for? From idea in your brain, maybe you're at home watching Peaky Blinders, or however it came to your mind, how long did it take to get to today?
It's probably just over 3 years because, I think, of course, you initially pitch in the game and then you start developing out the concept. But we also wanted to work with the show talent, and of course we had to be able to fit in with schedules, and COVID came along as well. So it was, it's been quite a long development time. But we are actually a really small team. So there are only, I think, around 30 within the team itself that have been working on Peaky, and obviously to begin with we're much smaller than that. So. It's been a long journey, but we've been really lucky that the team are amazingly committed to it, and they work non-stop on it with a lot of passion. Sure.
Oh, I would just say if anybody hasn't tried it and they try it, they'll see the passion. You can't. I'm a sucker for light detail and dust in the air and good ambient music and good sounds, and everything to me is synced up really well. The story thus far for me is good. It makes me want to keep going with it. Inevitably, I'm sure I'm going to hit an end, which will lead me to the most loaded question. Will there be more for Peaky Blinders in the future?
So we are going to continue to update the game over the year. We're going to offer more opportunities for people to go into Small Heath and play around in those areas as a Peaky Blinder. So yeah, we're hoping to keep the audience entertained over the next year.
That's huge. That's huge news.
Yeah, this is a big title, Peaky Blinders. It's one of the most popular Netflix shows. People love it. So how did this idea come to you? I kind of joked earlier. Were you watching TV at home? You see
I'm
Peaky
gonna make a game.
You know what? How did this come from, to creation?
So we'd worked on a Doctor Who game. So we just done a Doctor Who VR game, The Edge of Reality, Edge of Time. And we were thinking about what we wanted to do next. I'd worked on VR titles before at PlayStation, and I'd worked on a game there called The London Heist that was one of the demos. Really keen on trying to explore something in the gangster genre, and we really loved Peaky Blinders, and we just felt the world aesthetic was very mazed in the very detailed. There's a lot of storytelling in the environment, which we're really, really keen on. And it meant that we had to deal with characters in VR, which people don't really like to do. So we thought we'd do lots of hard things next. That's what we thought.
I think it was when we had first heard that there was going to be a Peaky Blinders game, I'm like, this is an ambitious undertaking. I saw so many areas where it could fall because I know the fan base for the show is huge. I'm not hearing a lot of scuttle from people who like the show, who played the game, that are like, it's not good.
No, it seems
They're
like nothing
probably
but
the
good.
silentest ones. Yeah. So I think really everybody on that team, a team of 30, putting out a game like that in 3 years, especially during worldwide times that make it even more difficult, I just think your whole team really did a really good job with this one.
They really, really worked hard. We've really pushed the technology. The art team have been, amazing. The fact that you've even got a dust particle running on a Quest headset, and we got characters and animation and some VFX and light shaders, and so they've really, really pushed the platform as hard as they can. But it was really something we felt passionate about. The world is. It's a really detailed world, and we wanted people to be able to explore it. So we wanted to make everything interactable as well, which really, threw loads of technical challenges at people, of course. But
It's still a mobile processing chip in the end too.
Yeah,
so,
but honestly, you won't know it when you're playing it. It's one of those. I think we had talked right after I had gotten it, and I was like, the graphics. It's already the first thing that stuck into my head. I'm like, these are amazing graphics.
Something I love to see is that you had the opportunity for licensing, to make something like Peaky Blinders, and you went with the risky route, which I love because it's my favorite route as well, the route of VR. So you said that you had some prior experiences with VR before, but still it's a gamble, and I love to see that you had the opportunity with the license, and you said, you know what, I trust it with VR, and hopefully the reception makes it worth it.
Yeah. I think it's just being able to place people in that authentic world, and it's such an imaginative place to be. It just felt like a natural fit for VR in our minds anyway, that you want to be in the world. If you look at Peaky, it's stimulated lots of, like lifestyles, haircuts, fashion. So it's a thing that people want to fully partake in and actually be immersed in. So we felt it was quite natural to be a VR title.
No, I agree with that. If anything good about game adaptations of movies is being able to immerse yourself and feel like you're a part of the movie or one of the characters. And I don't think there's a better medium for that than VR. So.
For that total experience, no.
God, no. So, we referenced it at the start of the interview. If anybody's here at PAX East, they're seeing the Peaky Blinders booth slam. There's people always checking it out. Whole crowd in front. So I think we've stolen you a little bit over, about 10, 15 minutes now with the interview, Before I wrap things up, overall, what's your thoughts on PAX? You just came from GDC, so going from California, how's Boston treating you? What do you think of the convention so far this year?
I think it's great. I think it's great to see, so many people, so many different titles, so many indies. I love the indie area and some of the new games that, people are bringing to the table. I love the atmosphere and all the fans, and it's quite a different vibe from GDC. GDC is very, very, very developer driven, and it's lots of talks about making games. Here it's about people enjoying your game and playing the game. So yeah, it's great, love it.
Well, that's awesome. And before I wrap it up real quick, I know you loved Peaky Blinders. You're loving the show. You're loving the game. So before I cut the interview out, is there anything you wanted to ask Russ while we have him here?
No, I just wanted to get that feel of the working with the actual actors who work in the show to do voices. I knew it happened, but to know that it happily happened, I'll say, or willingly happened. But I don't think everyone in acting world would necessarily lead their voice to it. I mean, they wouldn't have to, but to me, it just nailed the authenticity. Like I said, the only thing missing is the smell of steel, maybe the smell of coal in the air.
Some gunpowder.
But I'm sure we'll find someone with a smell VR device in this show. There will be someone. There always is.
So it's fantastic. But I can't thank you enough for usually we try to grab someone for an hour. Conferences, we can't do that. We know
Be in for 10, 15 minutes. That's perfect.
Oh, yeah. The booth's slamming. The place is popping. So, again, thank you so much.
And if anybody hasn't checked it out yet, on Pico, on MetaQuest, Peaky Blinders, VR, available now. So check that out.